In a region called Opelucid, which is like Hisui except for Unova and in the future, Braviary and Mandibuzz needed to adapt to survive. In this video I'll be making new forms for both evolution lines and then giving each a third form. Let's start with Rufflet. Rufflet is a reckless Pokemon that wins the battle at every opportunity. In Opelucid, food became scarce and it was forced to eat rocks and grasses to survive. It was tough, but soon its stomach developed and it grew claws from rocks. They hatch at the peak of a mountain and jump off to avoid predators. They're able to climb back up without a problem thanks to their tough claws. I'm designing this Pokemon based on the Hoatzin, which is a super cool bird you should read about on Wikipedia. Their chicks have hand claws, which is insane, and they also have ruminant-like stomachs that are super efficient for herbivory. They look cooked as chicks, but the adults look super cool. Here's the final art of Rufflet, not the Hoatzin. Rufflet is a Dragon Rock-type Pokemon with the abilities Sap Sipper, Tough Claws, and hidden ability Hustle. It learns lots of the same moves as Unova and Rufflet, though it can't fly and has better control of rocks. I've always thought of Crush Claw as this guy's move, so I'm giving it a little buff so it might be usable even though it's not stab. 95/95 for power and accuracy isn't anything crazy, but the 100% defense drop rate could be nice. It's got a really high attack stat for a basic stage that's only compounded by any of its 3 abilities, so despite its high evolution level, it shouldn't be too hard to raise. Rufflet can scale a mountain faster than any human and uses those skills to stay safe. It's better for Rufflet to dive off the cliff to avoid predation and climb all the way back up than it is for it to try to fight and get hurt. Because they don't often fight, it's rare for one to grow strong enough to evolve. In the wild, it might take them upwards of 20 years. When they do evolve, their hand claws mostly disappear and they grow wings to replace them. They have a bright orange mane that's said to store fire. They have a long tail that lets them control their flight, though it's also used for display. Again, I'm designing it based on the Hoatzin with a little inspiration from the cockatrices. They can breathe fire and are pretty good at flying. While Unova Braviary is brave, prideful, and heroic, this Pokemon is sly and fights to win. So when Rufflet reaches level 54, it evolves into Braviary. Braviary is a dragon flying type Pokemon with the abilities Sap Sipper, Sheer Force, and hidden ability Rocky Payload. It's got awfully middling stats, but Sheer Force is always nice. I could see it being decent in the lowest tiers with Life Orb or even Eviolite. It's got Sap Sipper because the Japanese name of the ability is Herbivore, which the Hoatzin is well known for being. Braviary's got Flamethrower and Fire Blast too to make use of its special attack and Sheer Force. Another thing the Hoatzin is known for is that it's a very loud bird, making lots of wacky vocalizations. That's why it gets boom bursts and stuff, and its signature move is called Dragon's Crow. I really wanted to call it Cockadoodle Bomb or something like that, but I gave up trying to make it work. It's a sound-based move that does double damage to sleeping Pokemon and wakes them up. Braviary isn't aggressive and doesn't pick fights, but if it feels threatened, it'll play dirty to make sure its opponent won't live to fight again. These Pokemon can live for many years, and while most will live a full life without evolving again, there will always be one on Victory Road that does. They grow a mountain on their back, slowing them down and sinking them back to the ground, but the power they gain is well worth it. I'm keeping some of the Hoatzin and Cockatrice elements, but I'm also adding elements of an Orthonomimosaur called Deinocheirus. Its name means terrible claw and it's known for its huge arms. Deinocheirus has a bit of a hump, and this Pokemon's hump is made of a mountain. Or at least it looks like a mountain. It got its claws back and it's said to be able to lift the mountain of Victory Road with its titanic arms. This Pokemon isn't actually as big as Deinocheirus, but Tyrantrum and Aurorus are tiny for the respective dinosaurs they're based on, so I'm kinda going along those lines for this one. So when 10 Rufflets are hatched and evolved while Braviary is in the party, it evolves into Moncheider. Moncheider is a Dragon Rock-type Pokemon with the abilities Sap Sipper, Tough Claws, and hidden ability Rocky Payload. It learns a move called Terrible Claw, which is basically Dragon-type Crush Claw but with the strength of the old one. Is it better than Dragon Claw? Possibly. Moncheider is slower than Braviary, but all its other stats are much higher, especially HP and attack. Rockbreaker goes kinda crazy with Rocky Payload on this Pokemon. With a Choice Band, it OHKOs physically defensive Toxapex, Corviknight, and pretty much anything that doesn't resist it. On paper, Moncheider is incredibly good, but if we learn anything from Ursaluna, it's nothing game-breaking. Dragon Rock isn't exactly the best typing for a Slowpoke Pokemon, and it would probably get knocked out before it can really do crazy damage. Still, it's not bad. Moncheider sits quietly in the depths of Victory Road, and is said to provide wisdom to Pokemon that find it. People who've met it report that it's peaceful, though they obviously can't understand any of its wise words. Another bird Pokemon found in Victory Road is called Vullaby. It can't fly yet, so it was very vulnerable in the harsh ecosystem of Opelucid. Instead of wearing a skull as a diaper, it wore the armor on its torso to keep its legs agile and to better protect the rest of its body. It wears bones on its hair tufts, which poke out when Vullaby tucks its head inside the skull. It's said that the dragon bones it wears imbue the dragon type within Vullaby itself. It really doesn't look much different from Unova Vullaby, but I promise there'll be some cool design aspects as it evolves. Here's the final art. Vullaby is a dragon ground type Pokemon with the abilities Weak Armor, Overcoat, and hidden ability Mirror Armor. Its main move is Bone Meringue, which is 5 base power stronger and 5% more accurate. It's got a great typing, and since its stats are pretty much the same as its Unovan form, it's got a pretty good Mon early to mid game and shouldn't be too hard to raise to the high evolution level. They swing their heads to toss the bones on them like a boomerang. A bone meringue, if you will. They've become quite the aggressive Pokemon and battle a lot to evolve as quickly as possible and become a flying Pokemon. When Vullaby evolves, it loses the heavy dragon bone skull to lighten itself for flight, but still adorns itself with other dragon bones when possible. It prefers to wear talons and other limb bones. In real-life taxonomy, birds are part of a dinosaur clade called Maniraptora, which includes dromaeosaurs like Velociraptor and ornithomimosaurs like Deinocheirus. No, it doesn't. It does not include... Why did I put that in the script? Ornithomimosaurs like Deinocheirus are closely related to them, but they're not part of that. But anyway, for whatever reason, Maniraptor means hand thief, which is the inspiration for the weird hand bone obsession. While Unova and Mandibuzz preys on the weak, its Opelucid form preys on the dead. So when Vullaby reaches level 54, it evolves into Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is a dragon flying type Pokemon with the abilities Weak Armor, Unnerve, and hidden ability Paleo Power. My friend thought of the name, and it's basically a ground type version of Rocky Payload. It learns Bone Rush, which no longer has that pesky 10% chance to miss. Ground flying coverage is incredible, but Mandibuzz's middling stats would keep it to the lowest tiers. Mandibuzz isn't exactly the sturdiest Pokemon and avoids fights when it can. It feeds on the already dead and flees when anything too big threatens to steal its meal. Its talons are usually strong enough to at least rip the limbs off its meal before fleeing, which explains why most of the bones it adorns itself with are from extremities. They all live around Route 10 and Victory Road, and while it's rare for them to evolve again, you can find a strong Mandibuzz every few kilometers that seems ready to evolve. Now that they're grounded again, they're free to dress themselves in as many dragon bones as they please. They have arm bones on their back, which seems to be able to control with their mind. They carry a huge bone club that they use to lead flocks of Mandibuzz and scare anything that tries to steal their food. It's got the Maniraptor theme, though that's materialized by it literally being just a bird. Ostriches are pretty cool though, and ostrich vultures sound sick. They use all this dragon bone armor to defend their otherwise flimsy body, and while it's heavy, they're still deceptively fast. So when 10 Vullaby are hatched and evolved while Mandibuzz is in the party, it evolves into Phalartemis. I feel like I should emphasize the Phalartemis so it doesn't sound like Phalartemis. Phalartemis is a dragon ground type Pokemon with the abilities Weak Armor, Overcoat, and hidden ability Paleo Power. Their Bone Club attack is super strong but has a chance to miss. You're welcome for all these ground moves, Dadmons. And Marowak. Even with bad defenses, Phalartemis' HP, attack, and speed make it pretty good along with its great typing. Note that it never got Earthquake, but its variety of bone moves more than makes up for it. No Dragonades either, but honestly, Paleo Power goes crazy enough. A lot of it is kinda giving Garchomp, which means it's probably a good Pokemon. Or, what was that? Garchomp is UU now? Okay, y'all can't blame me for not staying caught up on competitive Pokemon. I'm an adult now, I gotta go to work. Anyway, the name Phalartemis comes from phalanges, which are finger and toe bones, cathartes, which means purifier, but it's also the scientific name for a lot of vultures somewhere down the line, and Artemis, who is the Greek goddess of the hunt, among other things. I'm really bad at making Pokemon names if you haven't noticed, so this one was also made with the help of the friend who came up with Paleo Power. The name has 11 characters, so maybe if it was made back in the day, it would have just been called Phalartemi or Phalartems. Phalartemis sounds dumb. Anyway, this Pokemon was a valiant defender of its own kind. It's ruthless to anything that isn't a Vullaby or a Mandibuzz. They make Victory Road much harder to traverse and often block weaker trainers from even exploring its surroundings. If you've ever heard someone say to bring an Ice type on your way to the Pokemon League, Phalartemis is the main reason why. To be fair, Vance the Dragon Tamer being the champion is also a big part of it, though he's obviously smart enough to have something that beats an Ice type. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. Check out my Patreon, which you can subscribe to for $1 a month to support me and get your name at the end of my videos. Thanks to Captain Co-op as usual, and also new subscriber Art of Dying. Sorry I kinda panic added your name to my last 2 videos. Thanks so much for supporting. My next Pokemon video will be about new split evolutions. My favorite is the Bergmite that becomes a dragon. Hope to see you then, and thanks for watching. Wait. Also, there's a Legends AZ Pokemon game that was just announced. No joke, the Pokemon video after the next one was going to be me starting a new series set in Kalos' future, the starters of which I designed a year ago today. Hopefully they don't announce anything more before that comes out, but I swear I'm an original human being who makes original stuff. Okay, now I'm done. Thanks for watching.